Digital Marketing Manager for ELKO Group. Thank you for coming today to my presentation. I'm very excited to talk to you today about digital marketing. And more specifically, how can you know if you are using digital marketing effectively for your business? Well, you'll probably say there are metrics that I measure, and if the numbers are going up, that's how I know, right? Right, makes sense. But how can you know what are the right metrics? That is the question. And so, first thing to know if you want to sell more is to focus on measuring your activities much more than you measure your channels. Why? Because channels like direct web visits, they will tell you how your customers are finding you. But if you want to sell more, what you want to measure are activities, because that will tell you why your customers are coming to you. But how then exactly you measure different types of activities? Let's take visual ads, for example. It's still the most popular form of advertising in the world, and probably always will stay that way. By the way, do you know where this is? That's right, Times Square. Very famous place for many reasons. One of these is that look at all these ads. Ads for businesses, ads for huge companies that we all already know. So why are companies like McDonald's and Coca-Cola still using ads of this type, even though everyone knows them? Are they bad at marketing? Well, probably not. Turns out that they just figured out how to indirectly measure effect from these ads. And digital marketing can measure this effect very precisely. And it is called view-through conversions. It simply means that someone saw this ad, later they bought something from you, but they did not click on this ad. And it turns out that about 90% of the people who buy something from you after seeing an ad, a visual ad, they didn't even click on it. So if you want to really use effectively this form of digital advertising, then what you want to do is you want to always be aware of the number view-through conversions, and you want to plan your budget around this number. A more specific type of visual advertising is remarketing. Everyone probably already knows what is remarketing, right? Yeah, so it simply means that an audience which already has some kind of an interaction with you. Most popular type of remarketing is people who visited your website before. So the thing about remarketing is it's super efficient. Why? Because these people already have some kind of knowledge about you, and there's a much higher chance that they will buy from you. And based on this, what you want to do, you want to reach your audience with remarketing on all possible channels that you can, just because you know that it will be effective. So kind of the KPI, put it everywhere, test it, see how it works based on results that we just discussed, view-through conversions, leave it on or pause it. So when we see all these ads all the time, and then time comes when we actually want to buy something, what do? Well, we, based on the brands that we saw and know, we want to go to their website. But a lot of the times we are lazy or we don't know the exact address. So what we do, we just type in the brand name. These in digital marketing are called brand keywords. And think about brand keywords, just like remarketing, same principle. They are super effective because these people already know you, they specifically want to buy from you, and these ads, they are relatively very cheap in search engines. So what you want to do, you want to, when people are searching for you, out of 100 times, you want to have your ad shown as many times as possible. This is called impression share. So you want to get this number as close to 100% as possible. But there are also, of course, people, when they want to buy something, they don't know yet from which brand, from which company. They just know they want a product, let's say iPhone. So what do? They search for a product. For example, buy cheap iPhone, buy Samsung phone, and keywords like this. These types of keywords in search engines are called product or generic keywords. And they are usually much more expensive. Why? Well, they are bringing in new customers, customers who don't know yet what company they want to buy from, and there's huge value in that. So they are very expensive. But at the same time, you, as the advertiser, you want to make sure that your investment is efficient. So how can you do this? Well, you use low ad positions. Top ad positions, they are very expensive because it's a bidding principle. And there are situations in life, in digital marketing, in some industries, when it is cost efficient to pay 4 euros per click, but they are very rare. In most situations, it's best to really go for efficiency. And here you see also example from ELKO. It shows that on average we are paying 18 cents in this particular case, even though Google is kind of whining and sending automatic notifications that they would like us to pay at least half a euro. But still, they are spending our budget, so everything is fine, it's enough. So I'm sorry, Google, we think it's fair enough. So speaking of Google a bit more, apps. Lots of apps from Google. Apps are awesome. We all use them, and they are very useful. Speaking from the standpoint of digital advertising, though, there's a couple things you need to consider with apps. First of all, always be aware what budget percentage of your activities is going to apps. Why? Because two things. First, lots of accidental clicks. People are using some apps, they don't really care about some commercial messages, and these banners in apps are usually very small, so they just click them and there's no really point of it. And second part, kids are playing games on their parents' phones or sometimes on their own phones. And in this case, for example, 78% of the budget was going to exactly apps like you see in this picture. Obviously kids apps and games. So just with this one thing, if you turn off advertising in apps, you can at least double your efficiency and reach at least 2 times larger audience. Speaking of things to be careful with, SEO. Everyone probably knows what is SEO, right? Search engine optimization. And it sounds great. And it is great. But one important thing that is very often missed is that there's 2 parts to SEO. There's things that you do on your website. This is called internal SEO. It is relatively inexpensive. You don't have to do it regularly. You just set it up, and this will usually ensure that you have top positions for your brand keywords. Awesome. Everyone should do on website SEO. Now, there's second part of SEO. It's external activities. It's called external SEO. And external SEO is more focused on bringing in traffic from these product keywords. But let's take a look at the market situation and the context. Here you can see examples of the market right now for search volume on Google search. So some examples for product keywords. And these are, by the way, very broad, popular keywords like buy iPhone, iPhone X price, iPhone SE buy, and Samsung phones and things like this. And the volumes are like 90, 480, 10, 40, stuff like this. Now for brands, these are some top local internet stores on Google search. It's 18,000, 40,000 for Amazon, 27,000. So obviously numbers speak for themselves, that people right now are much more searching for platforms and brands than they are searching for products. Why? Well, I think this is because people kind of already know that if they want to buy something, there's many places where they can do it for a reasonable price. And so they just go for what they know will be convenient and easy and simple for them. So this kind of brings us to the question, how do we become these brands that everyone is searching for? And the answer, it's a very simple answer. It's not easy, but it's simple. Provide great customer experience. And to kind of answer how we do that, first we need to kind of look at what are the issues and problems right now with customer experience. Here is a study from Hotjar called State of Customer Experience 2019. And they surveyed a lot of customers, and they found that actually right now the most popular problems are long wait times, issues with companies not understanding their needs, some unresolved issues. And these all are very basic, simple problems. But still, customers are saying that these are the top issues. Why? The answer is because companies are very focused on sophisticated, high-level projects, which is good and fine, but they are oftentimes missing these simple, basic things. And by the way, you can see here that the fourth point is complaint from customers, too much automation. So, simple things, but how to find them? A few ways that I can recommend that are very, very simple, but almost nobody is doing it. I worked in a few digital agencies, and I can tell you from experience that this is very underused. First part, go through the process as a customer. In so many cases, like for example, there's a digital marketing person in a company, and they're doing a good job, of course, but not all the times they are checking different resolutions, different devices, how elements look. Maybe some buttons are not visible for some resolutions, some operating systems even maybe. So just by going through this process once a month, takes just a couple of minutes, you can sometimes even find very important issues, and sometimes that's enough. Another thing to do, use free tools like Google Analytics, and that's how you can find issues in the process, in the purchase process, where the biggest drop-offs happen. For example, here we see that in this part of the buying process, there's a big drop-off of people. And once you know what part this is, then again, you can use some free tools to much more precisely find where's the issue. For example, this is from Hotjar, but there's many free tools available. And in this case, you see that customers, not all of them are scrolling down the page far enough. So for example, if there are some important buttons or some important content too low on the page, they might not even see it. And this is a very popular problem. Here, This is a heat map of clicks. You see where customers are focusing their attention, and sometimes maybe they are not looking at the parts of the page which you want to highlight. So based on this, you can switch around the content and make it more intuitive for your customers. So these things are very helpful, of course, but important to remember that customer experience is not only technical things. It is also very educational things and content. So while preparing for this presentation, I went to Amazon. I know Amazon is great at this. And I just clicked on the first product that I saw. And turns out there are these white noise machines that help babies sleep. Did you know that such things exist? I didn't as well. Maybe in some years I will not be able to live without one, but for now, I didn't know. So what Amazon does, they have such a volume of actually useful content. For example, customers' questions. Customers ask and answer each other's questions, and this gives more believability to this content. Also, some very informal, helpful content from the manufacturer, explaining why you need this stuff, why it's actually helpful. And of course, the chance to compare different types of products, and of course, reviews as well. So after spending some 15 minutes, and by the way, on a mobile device, on a small screen, still, after spending just a little bit of time, I felt already like I was an expert almost on these types of products, and I felt confident to make a buying decision if I needed one. So, to sum it up, measure your activities, not channels. Always know what is the number of view-through conversions and plan your budget around it. Test remarketing on all channels where you can, and then go from there based on results. Get as close to 100% impression share for your brand keywords as possible, because, by the way, organic results are not a replacement for this. Low ad positions are usually more efficient, so if you are working with an agency, this is a very good KPI for them to focus on, to get these positions lower while still keeping cost per lead or cost per acquisition at a good level. Careful with mobile apps. Be aware what are these apps, and is it your target audience who is using these apps. For SEO, before you start a big external SEO project, make sure that the market really will support your investments to make sure that this activity is actually cost efficient in the end. To improve customer experience, there's a lot of free tools that you can use. It's quite simple. Just try it and go from there. And in conclusion, I would like to remind of a quote. It is from Peter Drucker. This is a person who is often called the founder of modern management. And in my opinion, this quote is a very good kind of guiding principle for digital marketing activities today. And what he said is that it is more important to do the right thing than to do things right. I really hope that these ideas and principles will help you do the right things. And have a great rest of the day and an awesome party in the evening. Thank you. Okay, do we have time for questions? Yes, some questions, please.
it's time for questions, and we have one question in the Slido application. I don't think we can make it on the screen, but I can read it out. Is there areas, products that don't need an advertisement at all?
Good question. I mean, maybe they are. I would say a lot depends on sales, because oftentimes kind of sales are planning how much we need to sell, and if they are selling enough without maybe expensive activities, then maybe just baseline of marketing activities are enough. But in reality, usually, of course, we want to sell more and more and more, and that kind of drives the need for larger and larger marketing investments. So I would say that such a situation is probably possible, but it depends on the company culture as well, I think, like how maybe ambitious or conservative they are.
Are there any other questions? No? Everything is clear? Now you know everything. Yeah, okay.
If you have more questions later, please find me. We will talk about digital marketing over a beer. Thank you.
Thank you. Paldies.
Paldies.